Hello. So, you lacking that motivation, right? Trust me, I know how it feels, especially after the stress and the work that we went through in 2020. This is 2021 now, and we don't want to bring that same type of stress and that same type of emotions that we went through in 2020 and bring that into 2021. So, if you're lacking motivation, there are 7 ways that you can overcome motivation, and I wrote them down. I put them here on my other screen, so I'm going to share with you what those 7 types are. Tip number 1: use pain. Right? 2020, going back to 2020, all the pain that we went through in 2020, right? That's pain. Think about all that stuff that you went through. Let's say, for instance, you failed to complete a task, right? What? Think about the damage. It's inconvenience, yes, to not finish that task, but think about the damage. Meaning, is it a huge, big damage, or is it a small damage that it's going to take on you or whoever it is that you're working with? Because use that pain as your driving force, right? Tip number 2: pleasure. Use a pleasure. Let's say, for instance, you're trying to save for this big trip, right? What's wrong with saving $20? What's wrong with saving $25, right? Yeah, you might miss out on going to the movies or going out with friends or going to the club, but at the end of the day, whatever you're saving that for, it's going to do you presidents, right? Tip number 3: set your short-term goals. It's hard to stay motivated for up to 8 to 10 weeks, right? So what do? Work on those short-term goals. Sometimes you have to, and let's say, for instance, your goal takes about a year to complete. Sometimes you just got to break it down into quarters, or break it down into 2 months at a time, or even 1 month at a time. But break it down as small as you can, because yeah, it's going to take, it's already going to take a year to complete it. But if you break it down into small amounts of what you can complete within those small amounts of time, it's going to hinder, or is going to expand your motivation to where you don't get frustrated or feel like you're back in 2020 again. Tip number 4: make tasks more enjoyable. Raking the leaves, if that's something like that. Think about something that makes that fun when you were raking those leaves, right? So that's what you use for motivation, no matter what that is in 2021. Whatever that is, and that let's say, for instance, how can you make that task? You need to ask that question, okay? What can you do, or how can you make that task enjoyable? And it takes thought. And once you use that, that's your driving force right there to making that task enjoyable. Tip number 5: give yourself a reward. And exercise. I usually tell my clients, they meet their goals, they're good to go, but guess what? You stop eating certain foods, and I get it, because you had to do that in order to meet your health goal. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with rewarding yourself, okay? Rewarding yourself to say, you know what, I accomplished this goal, so I'm going to eat a cookie. Great, it's there. That's what it's there for, because I will never tell you don't eat something. What I will tell you do is eat something in moderation. So always give yourself the reward to make you feel like, you know what, I hit that goal, I made that short-term goal, so I'm going to reward myself, right? All right, then tip number 6: take a deep breath. All right, that's something that a lot of us do when we get into challenging situations. We panic. It's normal, it's human for us to panic, but sometimes when you think about what your ultimate goals are, what the end results are, and sometimes that requires you to take a breath, and sometimes you just got to step away, all right? And there's nothing wrong with that, saying that, you know what, I'm too stressed, I'm too overwhelmed, I don't want to lose the motivation I have, so I have to just step away. And then tip number 7: include another person, right? Let's say, for instance, back to exercise. Let's say you have that partner that motivates you to exercise. Well, guess what? When you don't feel like going to that gym or going to exercise, your partner's going to be there to exercise. So therefore, that's your motivation right there. Oh, I know my partner's going to be exercising, so I'm going to get my butt up and I'm going to exercise too. Okay? So those 7 tips right there are what helps you to deal with motivation if you're ever feeling that you're lacking motivation. This is 2021 now. We're going to forget about 2020, 2021, using that as our motivation, and let's keep on moving forward. Stoney Coleman, I look forward to connecting with you. Talk to you later. Thanks.